everybody. Welcome to the Coffee, Yarn, and Dinosaurs podcast. This is episode 20, and it is the first episode that I have recorded in probably about 3 or 4 months. So, I know there's a lot of new viewers. I have seen a lot of new subscribers popping up fairly consistently over the past couple of months, and I want to say thank you to those of you who both have newly subscribed and those of you who have stuck with me during this long gap. I see you, I appreciate you, and really thank you for your interest in my work, even though I have not had a new podcast up in a while. Today is Sunday, the 19th of May, 2019, and I am coming to you from central Pennsylvania, where I now live with my husband and my 3 children. I'm gonna jump right in because I am wearing a sweater that I want to take off because it is warm outside right now, and I am recording with my windows closed because otherwise there would be a very noisy air conditioner happening outside. So let me show you the sweater. I'm gonna stand up. Ta-da! This is a design that I have not yet published, but it is my first sweater design. You can see it's crocheted. Here's a little close-up of some of the detail edging. It has this really, really fun yoke on it, and the edging is repeated down at the bottom of the sweater. Now, this is, as I said, it's going to be my first published garment design, and I have not named it yet, but a couple of details that I want to let you know about. So this, I am currently wearing the 42-inch bust size sample. I am sizing it from 30 inches all the way up to, I believe, a sweater that would fit a 58-inch bust with 2 inches of positive ease. So it should be 60 inches as the final measurement for the largest size. And I'm going to be working with a tech editor to make sure that I get the sizing right, because I know that kind of once you get into plus size garments, it's really important to make sure that the sizing is correct and the dimensions are correct to fit a plus size person correctly. So I want to make sure that in sizing up, I'm doing this well and not just offering an ill-fitting garment. So there will be a lot of sizes. There will also be 3 lengths. I'm currently wearing the longest length that hits at the full hip, which is basically the widest part of your rear end. There will also be a high hip measurement, which is where your actual hip bones are. And then there will be a crop measurement, which will be, I'm a little too far back. I'm a little too far back for this. The crop measurement will hit like this, which is not my style. But as you can see, it would be really, really cute if you're into crop sweaters that it'll hit just a couple inches below the bust line, and then with that nice cute bit of lace around the bottom. And there's also going to be options for long sleeves or short sleeves. So there will be lots of choices. I am going to have this up for testing soon in my Ravelry group. So if you are interested in potentially testing this pattern, please head on over to my Ravelry group. The yarn I am using for this is Lion brand yarn ZZ Twist. And this is a really cool yarn because most yarns are prepared in what's called an S-ply. So for those of you who don't spin yarn, basically the plies of the yarn, this is going to focus on my face. The plies of the yarn, you can see it kind of looks like a rope, right? It's kind of twisted. So those are the plies of the yarn. They're different strands. They get twisted together as the machine or the person spins the yarn. In most cases, it is spun with an S-ply, which is, I always do this, clockwise. Yeah, spun clockwise. This is spun counterclockwise. And the reason why that makes a difference is because when you knit or crochet, depending how you hold the yarn and depending how you're moving the hook or the needles, it will either add twist to the yarn or take twist out. And this is specifically created so that when you crochet, you will not take the twist out of the yarn, which is fantastic. If you have ever crocheted with a yarn and it just kept splitting and you're like, why is this splitting? Why? I don't understand. Why is it splitting? Possibly it was spun S-ply and was splitting, because that's what it would do. For knitting, it would have worked fine. So this is the first sample I made. I am currently working on the smallest size sample. So this is also ZZ Twist. It's in, I want to call it maybe the aqua colorway. Let me see. Sky blue. It's called Sky Blue. So it's this really nice bright, sorry, all of the strands are falling off the outside. This is one of those yarns where the ball of yarn just does not want to stay wound up no matter what you do. So it's just sitting over here winding it around the outside, trying to get this to stay put. And it's probably not going to. Wow, that is a lot of yarn that came off. Okay, anyway, ZZ Twist, Sky Blue. And something that I want to point out that I'm doing on purpose is you'll see this sort of chain loop section is a little bit shorter on the smaller sample than it is on my size. And the reason for that is because yoke sweaters need to be different depths for different sizes, okay? So that means that there's going to be more distance from the neckline to the bust, to the full bust measurement on a larger size than there is on a smaller one. And if I put these really long chain spaces on a sweater that maybe ends here for a 32-inch bust, that's full bust, suddenly you're going to have a sweater where the chains are basically exposing all of you. So shorter chain spaces for smaller sizes. So yes, I am doing an aqua sample. I am doing, wherever I put that coral, here it is. I'm doing a coral sample, and I'm going to do this beautiful dark blue. It's called Peacock. And that one's probably going to be a long sleeve one for me. I'm also experimenting with modifications for a large bust. I'm not going to say the right word. Difference. A difference in, like if you have a large cup size, basically, if you wear a large cup size, you measure your full bust, right? To get a sweater measurement, I'm going to tip this down just a little bit. Bust. Right here, right? But if you wear a large cup size, that means that you have more inches in the front than you do in the back. And a circular yoke sweater is traditionally the same number of stitches on the front as it is on the back. So if you wear a large cup size, and the reason you have to go up to the next size of sweater is to accommodate these, instead of because all of you needs to be that bigger size, then you will end up with extra fabric in the back of your sweater and it won't be as close of a fit. So I'm experimenting with some modifications to try and see if I can put that in, and it would sort of be like creating almost a bust dart to help the sweater fit a little bit better for people who have a large cup size. So that was a very long way of saying I designed a sweater and it's coming soon. The next thing that I'm working on is, and yes, I do have about 15 projects right now. It's ridiculous. The next thing I'm working on is this beautiful, beautiful sweater that is the Dolce Vita sweater by Marcella Chang. And it looks all scrunched up right now, but that's because it's this very, very beautiful elongated stitch that when you block it, lengthens out a whole lot. So this is going to be a really beautiful lacy top for summer. Let me see if I can find my swatch. Yes, I have it. So here is my blocked swatch. And you can see the difference in the texture of the fabric. This one is much more open, much more airy, and this just looks all crunched up. So This is a top-down circular yoke seamless sweater, sort of like the one I'm wearing, but knit instead of crochet. And I am using my own hand-dyed yarn, Fearless Feet Fiber Company. I didn't tell anybody where okay. Information to find me on the internet, like Instagram, Facebook, Ravelry, all of that, I'm gonna put in the box down below, because obviously I haven't podcasted in a while and I totally forgot to say that. Back to the sweater. I am using my own hand-dyed yarn, which is Fearless Feet Fiber Company, and this is the Whirlpool Galaxy colorway. It's not gonna show, is it? Man. There we go. This is on my smooth BFL base. So it is 75% Blue Face Leicester, 25% nylon, and it's a nice smooth sock yarn. Let's see, did I bring it up? I did bring up a skein of it. This is what it looks like in the skein. Just very, very pretty. Another way that this would be really fun to do this, total side note, which I brought up, is I also started dyeing in kid silk. So that would be really, really fun to do maybe for a winter sweater, just pair those two together. Total side note. Anyway, so even though, one of the really cool things about this sweater is that even though it looks short, you don't have to knit as many repeats of the pattern because it's gonna block out and really, really expand. So it looks like, Ruth, why are you knitting this baby sweater that is so tiny? And then I'm gonna block it and it's gonna be magic. And I'm very excited for that part. So I am, let's see, 2, 3, I probably have about 3 more repeats left on the body before I can do that and then start doing the sleeves. And the pattern is a long sleeve pattern, but I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm going to do long sleeves or if I want to just sort of make it a short sleeve, kind of like this, so that I can wear it a little bit more easily during the summer. I'm not sure, because I'm gonna have to wear a tank top underneath it anyway. So if I'm going to be wearing a tank top underneath it, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's one of those fun things where you can play with it as you go along. So, if you have not seen Marcella's work before, I highly recommend you go check it out. She has some very, very beautiful patterns, including this one, which I like. And this bag is from Aubrey Ann Sewing Company, who is Carly. So, that's active project number 2. Number 3, which has not been getting much love lately, but is a fantastic travel in the car project, is this crochet shawl that I'm working on. And this is I'm probably gonna say it wrong, Shep's Whirl in the Rosewater Cocktail colorway. And I have heard a lot about these yarns, the Shep's Whirl yarns, and I see a lot of people especially crochet shawls with them or make really beautiful gradient garments. These are gradient cakes. And so this is a 215 to 225 gram cake, but they guarantee that you have 1,000 meters of yarn in it. And it is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. And I have to say, I really, really like the colors, but I am less thrilled with the actual makeup of the yarn than I was expecting. It is not terribly tightly spun, so when you're working with a fingering weight yarn, you don't really want it to split, and this yarn is a little bit splitty for my taste. So I definitely enjoy, I'm really happy with the shawl, I'm really happy with how it's coming out, but I don't know that I would necessarily use it again unless I really, really wanted a gradient. So I don't know, I'm probably about 1/3 of the way through this, and this is gonna change shape drastically as I go farther. So it's not just gonna be a big arrow. Unless I decide I want it to be a big arrow. Maybe it'll be a big arrow. But this is another design that you will see eventually. I guess I can move the camera back closer now, huh? All right. So yeah, this is another design that I will be working on and putting out sometime in the near future. Last but not least, something I just picked up today after a long, long hiatus is, oh no, don't fall off the needles, my Marled Mania cardigan. And this is gonna look probably very similar to the last time you guys saw it, purely because, oh, my camera's, and back. So, Marled Mania cardigan. This is obviously, as I'm sure most of you know, a pattern by Stephen West, and it is designed to marl scraps together. So I haven't been 100% happy with my color choices, but I really enjoy working the pattern itself. So I think it's going to be very much a process knit and maybe not so much a product knit. It seems like it would be an excellent sweater that I could just wear at night while I'm knitting, and I don't really care what it looks like. I just want to be warm and comfortable. So let's see if I can show you this, because it's a very, very large, it's kind of an interesting construction because the top looks like a circular yoke. And I believe he did publish a pullover version of this that has this type of circular yoke. But then the front is a decreasing cardigan. So I am not in the right position to show this. Let me stand up. The front swoops. I don't know if you can see that. So like, if right here is the yoke, yeah, that's kind of an accurate representation of what it does. It swoops down the front. So sleeves, really, really big front. And this is a pattern that has maybe like 3 sizes to it because there is so much ease in the front of the cardigan. Like, it's so big in the front that you're basically just fitting for the shoulders in the back. And it is much, much easier to fit people's backs than it is to fit their fronts, which is kind of interesting. But he gives armhole sizes and sort of does just a small, medium, large, but I think the medium is about 45 inches. Like, I usually wear a large or an extra large, and I believe I'm knitting the medium size in this pattern. So it's pretty big, but it also seems to fit people very well, which is encouraging. So I'm making progress. I'm currently working with Knit Pick Stroll and Bad Wolf Girl Studios Newt Scamander held together. And I'm sort of planning to not quite fade it, but do a nice transition. So once I run out of Newt Scamander, I'm going to switch to this, which I don't know what it is. It's in my stash. I don't remember. I could look it up. And then from there, I will transition to, this is Fearless Feet Fiber Company micro striping. Right? And then I'm gonna add in some Yarn Cafe Creations Toadstool. And last but not least, Fearless Feet Fiber Company Wild Orchid. How could I do this intelligently? Piles of yarn. Yarn mountain. So there you go. It's gonna look kind of like that, except that because it's a cardigan, it'll be down. Upside down. There you go. Okay. So that is this is kind of like a when I feel like doing nothing project, because I mostly knit and crochet on design projects, like my patterns or patterns that are samples to show off my yarns, but occasionally I just want to knit something that is not going to require my creative thinking or brain power, and so that's when I pick up the Marled Mania, because it's basically like knit to the mark or decrease, come back. cool. I can totally do that. Let's see, what else have I been up to? Things have been pretty busy in dyeing world. I'm not going to drive you all crazy and show you all of the yarn I've been dyeing. I'm also currently not showing you all of the projects because it would just take too long for me to show you everything that I've been working on in the past 3 months. I do want to show you something really, really fun that I did last night though. And on the sort of marled, scrappy train, I have had a drawer of mini skeins, and you know how you get those little partial skein leftovers where it's more than a mini skein and maybe it's like 30 grams, or maybe it's really, 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 really tiny and it's 5 grams, and you're like, what do I do with this? I decided to cake them up. It's like a cake. Ooh, this side looks nice. Look at this side. How pretty is that? I like it. Anyway, I decided to cake them all up. I found this is called a magic cake because basically some people use a Russian join or some people use a magic knot or what have you. I just tied an overhand knot and left maybe like a 2 or 3 inch tail so I can knit or crochet right over the tail and be done with it. So this is my 3rd cake. I have 4 of them. So 1, dude, the bottoms of these look so cool. Look, yarn bottoms. How cool. Oh, how cool are these yarn bottoms? All right. 1, 2. I'll just show you the bottoms right away. This one, you can tell looks like, look. This first one has tons, this has the tiny, tiny minis in it, right? You can see that there's like 42 bajillion colors in them. And then this one has some larger skeins in it. And I did that on purpose because if I end up holding them together to marl them together, I want there to be kind of one consistent color running while there's little changes in the second yarn and then it switches, you know, make it a little more interesting. Doing it on purpose. And let's see. Here's number 4. So many yarn cakes. Look at that. Look at that. So many magic cakes. So there are plenty of things that people do with scrappy magic cakes. I have not yet decided which pattern I will use. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I might do something along the lines of the Marled Mania cardigan again. Maybe I'll do a second one. Maybe I'll do a blanket. What I do know is that I am very, very slow at single strand fingering weight scrap projects. So mitered squares or hexapuffs, you know, the beekeeper's quilt. I am so slow at those. And I actually brought my beekeepers up to show you because you guys will laugh. I started this before my son was born. I started this when I was pregnant with my oldest son, and he is currently 5.5. And this is what I've got. So I have started assembling it. It is starting to come together. But look, it's not that big. This is not going to be big enough for a blanket, you guys. It's very cool, but it's not going to be big enough for a blanket. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. But I have this entire bag left filled with hexapuffs. So for those of you who do not know, a hexapuff is a tiny, I'm trying to get a hold of one. It's a tiny hexagonal puff. See? And it's knit out of sock yarn. It takes maybe 20 yards, which is the beauty of it, because if you have little tiny scraps, this is fantastic for those little tiny scraps. The only thing is, mine are knit on a US 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter. So that means that my little puffs are coming up to about 1.5 inches either direction. So I've knit about 300 of them over the course of the past 5.5 years. I am just now getting around to assembling them, and once I get this entire bag of them assembled, we will see where we go from there. I have a feeling that it's gonna be, I mean, how big is this now? This is maybe, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. which makes it like 10 inches per side. And I have a feeling that it's not going to get bigger than maybe like 15 to 20 inches per side, which is not huge. And then I will have to decide whether I'm going to knit more hexapuffs or whether I'm just going to have a nice like maybe I'll just sew it together and it can be a cushion or something. I don't know what I'm doing with this. Maybe this is what I'll use my magic cakes for. But that is what I'm working on for right now. And before I go, I wanted to show you a couple of the yarns, new yarn dyers to me that I have found. Things that are unique. I don't want to show you everything that I've bought or stashed hauls or whatever, but when I find something unique, that is what I want to share with you, because there are plenty of people who are dyeing yarn. I'm sure you have favorite yarn dyers. Some of you may not use indie dyed yarn. You'll notice that this is, I didn't say that, this is an acrylic sweater. This is a 100% acrylic sweater. It's worsted weight, it's Lion brand yarn, it's, I have my yarn down there. It's like $5 a ball of yarn. If you get them on sale at Joann's, they're like $3 a ball of yarn, which is what I did. So this took 4.5 balls of yarn, and I got them on sale at Joann's. So I got them for $3 a piece. So that means that this is a $15 sweater, which is awesome. If I did this in merino, it would be a $150 sweater. So literally I did it for 10% of the cost. I am very happy with this. I think it looks beautiful. I might do one in merino sometime, maybe, who knows? But for right now, I'm really, really enjoying this yarn. Which comes to something that I have shared before, and I want to say it again for those of you guys who are new. I love seeing projects made with my yarn redo. I like seeing projects made in any type of yarn, okay? So I don't think that you necessarily have to use indie dyed yak yarn for it to be the best project ever. I don't think that you have to do sweaters out of cashmere for it to be an appropriate or a good sweater. Making a sweater out of acrylic is sometimes the best choice, okay? I know that there are people who would disagree with me because it's plastic yarn and all of that, but I believe very firmly in finding the right yarn for the right project. And in this case, this is the right yarn for this project, okay? So if you knit or crochet one of my designs in acrylic yarn, you will never hear me complain. And I know that there are some people who say, oh no, it's, you know, cheap yarn, crappy yarn, whatever. Do I prefer merino? Do I prefer alpaca? Sure, absolutely. They are soft and fluffy and I love them. But I can't be spending a couple $100s on a sweater because I am not that person. I don't have that kind of money. So I am always just happy to see your projects. Please don't ever feel like you cannot make one of my patterns in an acrylic yarn. If you're like, hey, I made this sweater, it cost me $5, I'm gonna be like, awesome, good for you, that's fantastic. If you show me your cashmere sweater and you say, look at this beautiful cashmere sweater I have made, or, you know, it came from the down of a baby polar bear and it was hand petted and hand carded, I will be like, I love your baby polar bear down sweater. It is beautiful. Because for me, a lot of knitting and crocheting is about the making. It's about the enjoyment and the crafting and it's about the making. So that's kind of coming back to also why I am making sure for garments that I am trying to make them so that they will fit as many people as possible. I am not perfect. People are built differently. I am sure that there will be some people it will not fit, just as there are patterns that are not perfectly flattering on me. I will do my best to make sure it works for as many of you as possible, because I know what it feels like to look at a pattern and go, wow, that's so pretty. They don't have my size. Or wow, that's so pretty. It would never fit on my body shape. So my goal for designing garments is to give you instructions to help you make this fit you, okay? So if you're like me and your stomach is the same measurement as your bust, I'm going to give you instructions for how to make this sweater fit you, straight down, bust, stomach. If your bust is the largest part of your body, we'll talk about how to decrease so you have some waist shaping so it looks good on your body shape. If maybe your rear or your hips are the biggest part of you and you have the smaller chest, but you want to make sure that the sweater flares out appropriately to fit your hips, we're going to talk about that too in the pattern, possibly in a series of videos, because I want you to enjoy making my patterns. Acrylic, merino, or polar bear down, I want you to enjoy making it. Which was that was a very long tangent. Sorry. I feel very strongly about this because I personally have had trouble fitting into patterns or finding patterns that look good on my body. So I want to make sure that as much as possible, I am not doing that to others. Secondly, and I'm not going to address this at length, I'm going to go very quickly. They're mostly on Instagram, but also kind of in real life conversations, there have been discussions about people not being able to afford patterns and designers, you know, should they charge more? Should they charge less? How can you make it so that patterns are available to as many people as possible? And I've been asked at events about what is my stance on that? How can I make sure that my patterns are as inclusive for different body shapes, inclusive for different financial levels? Because not everybody has a ton of free cash or extra cash or any to put after a pattern or yarn. And my answer for that is you are always welcome to test patterns for me. I welcome testers of basically all skill levels. It is very, very rare for me to say no beginner level testers allowed, because what I am looking for is how will this pattern work up for the real life people who will be making it. I understand that there are some knitters and crocheters who have been making things for a very, very long time, and I love that because I can learn so much from those people. But I also want to know, if you see my sweater and you think, wow, I've never crocheted a sweater before, I want to know what your experience will be picking up my sweater for a first-time project. Do you feel comfortable? Are the instructions clear enough? Can you get it to fit you? So please don't ever feel like maybe you don't have enough experience to apply for a test. If it's something that is really, really advanced and you maybe do just garter stitch, I might say to you, hey, this has some advanced techniques. Do you feel up to trying them out? And you can answer yes or no, because I love helping people learn. I love seeing people try new techniques, try new garments, or new, what's a good way to say this? I don't want you to be intimidated by any of my patterns. I don't ever want to make people feel that they cannot make my designs. So I do my best to make them clear. I do my best to make them well-fitting. The end. End of 10-minute end of 10-minute rant. So anyway, before we started this, I said I was going to show you some yarns by dyers that I found that were unique or different. So the first one, this is from Bumblebee Acres Farm. And the reason why this is unique or different to me is because it is a Corriedale wool base. So it's 75% American Corriedale, 25% nylon. It's a fingering weight, 430 yards, and it is superwash. So this is just a really, really beautiful skein, but you don't see Corriedale too often. So it's interesting to me to find a dyer who also uses this breed along with they also do kind of the standard merino yarns, and they sell roving as well. So I just thought this was really beautiful. This is called Alaskan Nights, and I love it. And the other thing I found that I found to be unique is this is by Alpaca Yarn Company, and this is the brown is 50% baby alpaca, 50% tencel, which is a bamboo fiber, and the green is 78% Surrey alpaca, 22% nylon. So it looks kind of like kid silk, like mohair, but it's not. It's alpaca. And one of the reasons why I found this so unique is because they pre-package it in these braid sets. So instead of having to worry about how will this look together, did I pair the right, you know, fuzzy yarn with the correct smooth yarn, you can see it already paired up, already, you know, good to go. This colorway is, this, I guess, set is called Patina, which makes sense. And I don't know what it's gonna be. Probably a shawl. It seems like it would be an appropriate shawl. Maybe like, I don't know, I'll have to look. Maybe I'll make someone else's pattern, maybe I'll design my own, who knows? Not like I have time. Guys, I have so many design patterns slated for like timed releases for this year. This is the first year this has happened to me. I have had some yarn dyers very graciously offer me yarn support to do designs, which is a first for me. And I really, really appreciate that. So you will see, I will let you know if I am putting out a pattern and it is in an indie dyed yarn and I received yarn support, which means that the dyer sent me the yarn for free in exchange for me creating the pattern and exclusively promoting their yarn for it. So it's like a swap that dyers and designers do. If I do a yarn support pattern, I will let you know that I received yarn support for it, because I want to be transparent. If somebody's giving me free yarn, I want to let you know that that's what happened. And I also want to say, there is this misconception. People say, oh, designers get free yarn. Well, yes and no, because technically we are not paying money for it, but the amount of work and mental labor and math that goes into creating a functional, excellent, well-written pattern, that's work. That is labor, and labor is worth money. Your time is worth money. So I may not be paying dollars for it, but I am certainly putting in the mental labor and the making labor and all of that. So it's not necessarily that designers get yarn for free. It's sort of a skill swap, might be a good way to say that. That they can dye the yarn and I can knit the designs or crochet the designs. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I hope to get back doing this on a regular basis. I really enjoyed talking to you all. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you just want to say, hi Ruth, I haven't seen you in so long, please feel free to drop me a comment down below. If you're a new subscriber, I would love to know how you heard of me. Were you just randomly going through YouTube? Did somebody recommend me? I want to know. I would like to say thank you to somebody if they did recommend me. Like if there's someone recommending me out there, I would love to say thank you to them for promoting me, because it means the world to have your support, and it means the world to have support from other makers like podcasters and dyers and designers. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you want to get notified when I put new videos up, whether that be in a week or whether it be in a month, feel free to thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.